Hello, fellow Fumblers, and welcome to another episode of the Film Fumblers podcast. Today, we're going to be reviewing the movie Jaws, released in 1975 and directed by Steven Spielberg. So without further ado, my name's Adrian.
I'm Jay.
I'm Taryn.
Yo, it's James.
All right. So we going to just jump straight into the shot. What are you guys shooting today?
I have
The
a special
classic.
shot glass.
Oh,
Nice.
Shout outs to James's family for buying this for Jordan so that I could use it today.
What the hell?
little
Really?
shark face on
Just
it.
what the hell?
You guys went to Florida a long time ago and she watched the cats or something.
Oh,
And
okay.
This was a gift.
Nice.
And it came in handy today.
So mine, not sharks, but dolphins.
Oh.
Cozumel, Mexico.
Well, that's
Figured it was
cute.
close enough.
That's cute. I'm just having
And then
a
there's tequila in
classic,
there.
classic clear, tall.
Classically.
Classically.
All right, boys. Let's jump into this.
cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh Christ.
Ooh, not bad.
Oh yeah, that is the stuff.
Ooh, that went down bad. not like that
James, heavy night
tequila.
of drinking coming out. Of,
I was going to say, I don't think it ever left.
Yeah, that tequila last
Not
night
sure.
was really good.
I'm sure it did. So I'm on the side. I'm drinking a little. It's a gin soda, but I threw a little cherry syrup in there to emulate maybe a little blood in the water. You know.
Ah, look at this
Oh.
fucking guy.
Well, in honor of Jaws, I'm going to just pop this bottle of wine here.
That was
right
a
into
beautiful
this cup.
Oh man,
I'll
you might want to
just
let
fill
that breathe.
We'll just get right up there.
Holy shit. Okay.
This is Snoop Dogg's 19 Crimes. So
Dude, you have to let me know how that is, man.
check it out. He's on the cork.
Oh, that
That is
Oh,
good.
what?
That is the dopest cork I've ever had.
So is it
Wow.
like marijuana infused or like a little CBD in there? Like what's the flavor profile?
Snoop Dogg. Wow.
So I don't. 19 Crimes is like a line of wine, but he just like hopped in and made one. It's just a red blend. I don't really know anything else. I just saw the bottle and I was like, that's cool.
You're like, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So Jaws. I again every single older movie that we do that it's just like, yeah, I've seen Jaws or I've seen Jurassic Park or RoboCop. Have not seen this movie.
Yeah.
Like after watching it, I was like, I have not seen this movie all the way through.
Ever?
No.
Same, actually.
I know how it ends. I know how, like, you know, the torpedo in the mouth and or not the torpedo, but the
All three of you?
I've never seen this movie. I
Wow.
told Jacqueline that the shark never actually shows up in the movie. I was like, I think the shark
That's
is never
hilarious.
seen. And like I
Almost doesn't.
I
mean,
literally
Just
Yeah.
keep leaning over to her at the beginning of the movie. You know, the shark never actually.
yeah, that
Just
I
kinda
did.
know-it-all.
I was just like, I was like, by the way,
Oh,
no
man.
shark. But yeah, she got all pissed like towards the end. She was like, "What? That's totally." You could see the whole thing. I was like, "Oh, my bad."
that is for sure a shark.
So
That's
go ahead, Jay.
I was just gonna say that's a good like jumping off point of like, you know, for a movie that's supposed to be centered around the shark, you don't really see much of the shark, right? Which is
Right.
kind of interesting and a good. I don't know. In my opinion, it was a good thing. Like it adds to the suspense and the thrill, and
Right.
when you do see it, it makes it like that much cooler and all that.
Well,
stuff.
like,
Yeah.
what's great about that is that was completely by accident. During filming, they just had so much trouble with getting the mechanical sharks to function properly that they wanted to have it in shot more, but Spielberg said like it was kind of a godsend in disguise where it fucked up all the time, so it turned into more of like an Alfred Hitchcock type of you're afraid of what you can't see, which
Mhm.
is kind of coming back a little bit more with like A Quiet Place does that, you know, where like you don't see the monster all the time and it makes it
Right.
scarier, right?
yeah.
It just
Yeah.
makes it better, more intense.
yeah,
hmm
that's a good point.
Yeah, I wonder how cheesy this would have felt if the shark was in it more. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
it didn't always look great.
Right. I don't even think
Yeah.
we'd be talking about this right now
Yeah.
if the shark was in there more, honestly.
You think it'd be that?
I think it would be that
Under
much
the wire?
different because it
Yeah.
would have just been this movie was like, I mean, 1975. It's, I don't know, if they had the shark in there a lot, it would have just been like, this is a very cheesy 1970s movie. And I don't know, hell, would Spielberg's career have even launched off that much, right? Because like this is his first really big film.
This is,
I think
but this
he has
is like
another film before, but
this is like the film that like launched the term blockbuster, right? Like summer flick that came out of that was just like ridiculously successful.
Yeah, the budget was like 9 million and it booked like 400 plus in the box office.
Yeah.
yeah.
Insane.
So to touch on the budget was actually 3 million originally. Spielberg went over by double. Like he went up to 9 million. They ran into so much. This movie was like the people on set nicknamed it Flaws because like there was so much fucking issues with it. So he went over by $5 million on budget. He went over on filming by over 100 days. It was supposed to take 55 days to film.
Wow.
It took almost 160. Like this was the first major motion picture that was filmed in the ocean. So they were like, oh, everything will be fine. Nothing was fine. Like they had to, like especially 1970s technology, they ran into quite a bit of issues. Like
That's really interesting. Like you give a freshman director
26
you're
or
gonna
27.
you're gonna go double over the budget in 100 days plus. That's fine. That shit would have gotten the plug pulled a long time ago in today's age.
Yeah, he feared it was going to ruin his career, but I mean, obviously, it kickstarted
Quite
it.
the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
What you got, James?
No, I forgot. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jay.
Keeping in with this phenomenon that seems to surround my birthday.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
I saw that.
people
I was
can
like,
be
should
like,
we tell
"Oh,
everyone your birthday? I don't know.
It's just a subconscious thing because it's your birthday. I don't know, man. Seems a little sketch to me. My birthday's on June 29th. The kid in the movie, not the first, we see the woman die from the shark, and then you see the kid explicitly die from the shark. Happens on June 29th. Okay.
Oh boy.
Then later on, when they're all sitting in the ship telling the drinking story, and he reveals that he was on the USS Indianapolis or whatever,
Yeah.
the date that they all get rescued is also June 29th. Okay. And I scoured Wikipedia of the actors to see if there was a birthday in common, and there wasn't. So, but still, June 29th. It comes up.
I'm gonna start looking for my birthday to see if this
Maybe
is
that's
some
what it
kind
is.
of
You'll see it everywhere.
confirmation
probably.
bias where
Maybe
when
that's
you
what it is.
yeah.
No, I don't know. That's kind of weird. Like I saw it and I was like, damn. This is
Yeah, but
fucking wild.
it feels like every time we do a movie, Jay like is looking at one of the actors and their birthday is literally his or the day before, or it's just
Some person involved
Right.
shares a birthday with me, and in this
Yeah.
case, it was plot of the movie. The hole is going deeper.
I know. Right.
So I want to touch a little bit on. All right, we three of us said that we had not seen this movie before, but not seeing this movie, it's just like you've seen it, right? Like you know of Jaws, you know what it is, you know what the plot line is, you know how it ends, you know so much about it. I mean, I feel like that. It bothers me because I feel like that takes away from this movie, because I feel like this movie would be way better if I didn't know every single thing about it before actually sitting down and watching it.
Yeah.
Or experiencing it in fucking theaters in 1975, like holy shit, right?
Mhm.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
And we can get into like how well did this movie age a little bit later, but yeah, so I don't know, it just kind of it saddens me to watch these old movies and know so much about them before I had seen them at all.
Yeah. So were you saying you did know quite a bit about this movie, or?
Oh, I knew pretty much. I feel like I knew pretty much everything.
Oh,
about
really?
it.
I didn't know anything. The only thing I knew was you're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah,
And then-
you're gonna
and-
need a bigger
and-
boat.
and
I
what-
knew that he swallows the oxygen tank and he shoots that and it blows the shark up.
I didn't know that. That was.
I
so
didn't know
cool.
that. That shit was
Yeah.
cool.
Wow.
I was like, whoa.
Have you guys seen Stuber?
No.
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. There's a scene in Stuber where they're getting chased. It's a car chase, and they have propane tanks in the back seat, and he's like, "Just throw a tank out and I'll shoot it. We'll jaws these motherfuckers." Like, like that. So I thought that was really cool. We watched that this week, just coincidentally.
Nice. Nice.
Nice.
But let's talk about the way it aged. I mean, do you kind of believe that it didn't age well? This movie was 1975, and I thought it looked a lot more recent than Star Wars, which was 1977. And I think that might be. No, we're not here to talk about Star Wars, but Star Wars is like supposed to be like sci-fi, and so they have a lot of things that are kind of awkward, but I think this movie looked like really colorful, and it looked really bright, and like I don't know, something about it just it seemed relevant. Like it seemed like it could have been filmed today, but in like an older time. You know what I mean?
Like a period.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
kept thinking about Jurassic Park during this, mostly because the music sounds really similar because it's the same guy.
Yeah.
But like if 20 years apart, and like it does not feel like that. Like you're saying, like it feels like
Yeah.
they could have been 2 years apart. or
Jurassic
something.
Park is 20 years after this movie?
Yeah, 95.
Holy shit.
Crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's wow. That's
Yeah,
so much
I was like, if they
cool.
came out 2 years apart, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's right.
So then I think yeah, not showing the shark as much, but even when they show it, I thought it looked pretty good, but they also had live shark footage and the like
Yeah.
Yeah.
animatronic, is that the right word? Animatronic
Yeah.
shark. So
And it was kind of super noticeable when that happened. And like sometimes the shark that was the live shark didn't even look like
he was
what the shark was supposed to be, you know?
he was super wider, huh? Cuz
Yeah.
like the fake Jaws was like a lot more gray, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked like a like the classic staple great white, and then they
Yeah.
would cut it with like it looked like almost like one of those spotted sharks or something. I don't know, something weird like that.
Yeah.
But to touch back on what you're saying about the look of the movie, yeah, I agree. Like the way that I don't know what it was. Maybe it's the cameras they use, maybe it's the way that they colored it or whatever. But the like footage itself is like what a lot of I think films try to shoot for, even in today's age. Like we want this look. This is like the filmic look, you know. So I thought that was super interesting, being so old.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that too was just with Spielberg. Like again, I think he was 26, 27, which is our age right now. And
That's insane.
all we've done is create a shitty podcast. But this guy has like made one of the
Hey,
most. one of the-
what the fuck?
Starting an amazing career.
kickstarting a massive career, but just already like some of the decisions that he was making with the costume designers or like the set designers about like, okay, like as far as things in the shot, like the mise-en scene, right? Like nothing red. He doesn't want anything red in there. So when red does come up, it's like boom, it pops and it really shows. And I like you felt that like when there's that blood in the water, you're like, holy shit, like it's just menacing.
Yeah.
Super well done. Super like.
The other big thing in this movie was the sound, like especially towards the beginning when we know that the attack has happened, but we're at the scene with the beach and there's still people out in the water, right? Because nobody else knows. When it cuts to shots of like people like lonely in the water, there's no like ambient sound. It's just like maybe a little bit of
that
wave.
silence, man.
Yeah, it's really eerie. And then it cuts back to like the beach and you hear like people talking and like music or whatever. And then it'll go back to those cuts were great. Like it would go back to the kid on the raft, silence, you know, and that was really cool.
Yeah, it really adds
It's so much-
adds for the weight.
It's so much about like less is more. Like with like the least amount like that the shark is on screen, the more it's like terrifying when he is. And
Definitely.
it's just so good. And I feel like again the sound probably very intentional, but the shark thing just worked out. Like it just
happy accident.
it just worked out.
I mean, the less is more is a good way to put it. Like there was the whole like, I mean, this movie really did do a good job of like show don't tell, right? And so like when the dog is like in the water, then the dog goes away,
Rest in peace.
and maybe the owner of the dog like yells his name or something, but you just see the stick, right? And you just know what happened, you know?
Right.
Or you see the raft float up on shore and you just know what happened. Like
You
that
see a
stuff was
parent
awesome.
like yelling their name every time. You're like, oh no, this is
Yeah.
fucked up.
That was great.
Yeah. Did you guys
Go ahead, Jim.
in the beginning? Did you guys have any like parallels to what we are like dealing with?
I was
Yes,
literally
sir.
going to bring that up. That was the exact thing I was
Yeah.
going to say.
Yeah, so like
Um,
for those who haven't seen the movie in a while, you basically have the police chief urging to stop everybody from going to the beach, and then you have the mayor that's like, no, fuck no, we need this shit for our economy. It's the summer, you know,
Gonna
this
make
is
me
gonna
look bad.
yeah, this is gonna be the biggest summer. But yeah,
They have a-
what do you think?
they have a town meeting. They have a town meeting, and they're talking about, well, we don't really know if it was a shark. It could have been a boating accident, or it could have been this. We absolutely can't close down the beach because it's just so good for the economy. And one of the people in the crowd, she says, 24 hours. That's like 3 weeks.
Yep.
That's
down.
her quote. And it's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like that is exactly what's happening right now with COVID-19. It's just we're so afraid to, and not to get too political, and it sucks that turned political, but we're so afraid to close down things so temporarily that it's just been dragging out for this fucking long. I mean, we're in
Yeah.
August,
The whole
Yeah.
first half was pissing me off, dude. Just all these old white dudes just like not giving a fuck, trying to worry about themselves. I'm like, stop, please. I don't want to see this right now. It sucks.
Yeah.
Did you catch that, Jay? Were you thinking that same thing when you watched it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it a little bit, but I'm like trying, as much as possible to not think about that. Just like,
Yeah, it's very hard.
because it's
not
so
to.
like mentally draining already,
Yeah.
And like, I saw something. There's like a headline that was like, "We're probably locked in until the end of 2021," and I'm just like, "Fuck, I can't think about that,"
Yeah.
Mhm.
But what I did like about the town meeting scene, and this was like it being like culturally relevant, was the nails on the chalkboard interruption thing. How many times have we
Wins.
seen that in something else?
That's a
you know?
cliche. I love seeing cliches. Like the first time it's been done, you're just like, oh, this is overdone. But this was the first one, so it's hard to like
Is it?
go back and think about it. I mean, is it not? I don't know.
I feel like it has to
no
be.
clue.
I assume it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I
maybe
assume
that-
like that's where I got it from.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's so interesting. So they introduce his name's Quint, right?
Yeah.
The shark hunter. Introduce him in that town meeting, and then they go on with like several more acts before he really comes in again.
Yeah.
So I was just like, like this guy's obviously going to be important, but he just kind of falls away again. And then they have the big shark hunt for, what is it, $3,000 that you get?
Yeah.
It's
$3,000.
1970s $3,000, which it's a lot more in today's dollars, but
I liked his negotiating skills. He's like $3,000, but I'll do it for 10
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
my
what
life
does
is
he say?
worth
He's
more
like,
than
I'll
$3,000.
find it for $3,000. I'll kill it for 10. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So cool.
$200 each day, even if I don't kill it. That's what he said.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
There's another piece, and maybe this is like a sign of the times that I didn't really understand, because I feel like a lot of the things that were shown, like you're saying in the shot, were intentional. And so there's that scene where it's right in the beginning. He goes into the house and picks up the phone, but there's like 2 phones.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't
Oh.
really get that.
One
Does
maybe
anybody else
being
have that?
one being a work phone and one being a home phone, maybe because he's the chief.
Yeah, because he's like the what did they call it? The
Chief.
sheriff of
The chief of police.
police. So it's just like he has his,
That's like the little red blinking light phone. Of
right?
his.
Yeah, Powerpuff Girls. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. Okay. That would
but
make
yeah.
sense.
Also in that same scene, like his, where's that?
Oh.
In that scene, I thought that crack was going to be louder, James. It didn't deliver.
I was trying to refrain.
In that same scene, is it his son? Is he like trying to swim or something happens? He cuts his hand and like he's bleeding, and like that was like the first shot of blood that we get, and
Mhm.
like you just know, you're just like, oh, this is so. It's just so cool to see blood in this movie because it almost feels like foreshadowing. Like this is a little bit of a taste of what's really to come.
Yeah, I kind of wanted his kids to die.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Damn.
I wanted that kind of weight. I wanted the heaviness. I wanted
Weight.
like, you know what I mean?
Give
Like,
him a reason to kill this
Yeah,
fucking
Like,
thing.
I guess I'm a little scared of water, but how about dead children?
yeah, like,
God.
I don't know.
Dude,
Maybe,
speaking-
maybe I'm just like asking for too much drama. But I don't know. I kind of wanted it a little bit.
Mhm.
Dude, speaking of his kids, the youngest one
Yeah.
had like no teeth and was all gums and shit. Like when it showed him real close, I was like, this fucking kid looks like a shark, dude. I was like, maybe that's why he's so scared, bro. I don't
Oh
know.
gosh, we just pulled this poor kid's teeth out to get in this movie.
It's like looking in a mirror for him.
Yeah. Everywhere I look, I see his face.
Oh my god, dude. Okay.
I did the scene where the shark ends up in like the shallow pool where he tells the son to go play,
hmm
and then the shark just like kills that other guy who's like checking on them,
Oh my
and then the
god.
son goes in a shock. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then nobody gives a fuck about the guy that died. Did you guys
Right.
catch that?
Yeah.
He
Like, it's
seemed
just
like
not even addressed.
And that
seemed
and
like
that
maybe
was
a hippie drifter or something that they were just like,
yeah.
Are you guys all right?
And I
And
don't
then you
know.
just see his leg fall off, and then that's
Dude,
it. Yeah.
that scene was so good. You see it like it looks like it's stepping down and then it just keeps going because it's disconnected. I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah.
All the gore and everything was like really fucking good. I thought it was gonna look
Yeah.
aged. I don't know. I was not expecting to see a fucking shark being blown up, guys. That shit. I was
weren't
like,
expecting
what
to see
the
a shark at all.
fuck? Yeah, I know. Yeah, so what the fuck did I know? But the whole movie had me fucking gasping and oohing and ahhing. I was like, what the fuck? Every time the
Yeah.
shark came out, I was like, oh fucking god damn! Like I was getting
Really?
Yeah, I
was
wasn't
getting-
expecting that much gore, man.
Yeah.
Like when you see the head, when that guy's underwater and the head comes out
that
of the
shit
I was like, oh my god!
scared me. I was
Jesus
like,
Christ!
Dude, that one.
that
got
was
me
the
too.
first jump scare for me. That oh shit, like that was. I think they filmed that like post production and they like added that shit in. I'm pretty sure that scene was filmed in somebody's fucking swimming pool,
nice.
and they like did all this thing. And I want to say that Spielberg paid for that scene out of his own pocket
nice.
because he wanted
Nice.
he wanted another shocking scene.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
got it because that was the main scene where I was like, holy shit, I did not expect the head to come out of the boat.
Yeah,
there.
because even like the first girl that gets killed, her hand when it's on the beach, I didn't even expect to see any of her, like because it was like trying so hard not to show anything. I was like, oh, we're not gonna see
Yeah.
it, which is probably fine. And you see her hand, I was like, oh Jesus Christ, like this is kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
But like, okay, so then that's like the thing. I'm not a fucking marine biologist or whatever, but sharks gonna eat it all, right? Like, why are there remains? Because it's evil. It's just a shark that kills because it's evil.
No,
Like, don't they?
they
Aren't they
talk
trying
about
to
it being
eat? Like,
yeah, they
Gotta
talk
leave
about being
it.
like a
gotta leave
savage.
evidence. Hey,
Yeah.
watch out! I'm out here. I'm coming for you.
To be fair, it didn't leave much.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like there, which again goes back to the just not showing a lot. The scene with Matt Hooper, where he's the marine biologist. We first are introduced to him, and he's doing the autopsy, or not really an autopsy, but he's looking at the remains of her, and like the remains are in this little like to-go box thing. Like it's just
Right.
like this tiny bit of her that's left, and
Little food tray.
But
which I think
he was describing it though, right? He was like, her head
was-
and her
yeah.
chest are intact. I was like, are they? I thought all we had was a hand.
right, yeah, that was a little weird, but also like really, I think well done as far as just not showing what's happening, but being able to cleverly describe it and
Yeah.
build a
Yeah.
picture and like have your own imagination do the terror for you.
Yeah, I
Just,
feel like that's what carried most of those scenes is like the descriptions, like you're saying, but also the actors' reactions to things were so
Yes.
good. Like Hooper getting sick to his stomach over that, seeing all that shit, like, oh my god, like
Mhm.
that sold that shit really good.
Yeah, yeah. The acting in this was top notch. I thought.
I think it was. Yeah, it really was.
There was some characters that were pretty bad, especially the very, very beginning. The girl that gets killed and that guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
but they were like,
That set the tone off really weird for me, but then it
Teenagers.
obviously picked up and it was fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that tone, it felt like it was almost because it was just like, oh, it's just a bunch of teenagers at a hippie party, like
yeah,
that's like the premise of every slasher film.
Yeah,
right?
and
Where
that's
you're
what
gonna-
I thought it was gonna be. I was like,
Yeah.
I was kind of cringing in the beginning. I was like, damn,
We're going swimming. I was
This-
like,
we're going
okay.
Yeah.
drinking
Alright.
and skinny dipping.
That's
Yeah,
also like super like a an older like 80s 70s era movie thing where all these like college age kids are at a bonfire.
Mhm.
This happens in like Dazed and Confused, and all of these have like this bonfire scene. But really, it just made me miss like not being able to actually do that right now.
Actually,
Like,
yeah, me
I
too.
really wish we could just have a party.
Yeah,
Just drinking with your homies. Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah.
right.
yeah. I'm not big
Yeah.
on the beach, but shit, look nice.
Yeah, it looked fun. And that's so it's interesting that they like shift gears completely away from that, where they introduced it, and I bet I don't know. I'm like so curious of like watching this in 1975, where you see that bonfire scene, you're like, okay, I've seen this movie before, but it completely shifts gears, and it doesn't touch on college kids really again, never. Like
Yeah.
it's not these like innocent college kids just trying to have a good time dying constantly. Like sometimes they're kids, sometimes they're dogs. Sadly, like
I know.
so it like shifts gears pretty well, I think.
Okay, so then,
Yeah.
so maybe let's. I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying, that I want the kids to die. Like I want people.
Oh boy.
There it is.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
let me explain myself. Like I feel like there's really only one character that dies that you feel bad for, right? It's Quint. Right?
Yeah, I was surprised
Like-
that he
like-
died.
Like I don't know, like I want more heartstrings tugged. I want more characters that you really care about to fucking die from the shark. Like that's like one of my maybe my only gripe like with the story is that I just want
There's
like
no
like
stakes
literally
for
that
you.
guy in the pond that you were like nobody even gave a fuck. Like exactly, neither did the
Yeah.
audience. Like no, they
Yeah.
didn't give a shit that he died. So like I kind of wanted just a little bit more like dead kids. I don't know.
I actually super agree with you, dude.
yeah.
Like, because like they almost got there with the parents, like, oh my god, where's little Jimmy or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that almost got there, but like it didn't quite get there. And then, so like you were saying, what's his name? Quint dies at the end.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that because like, why would he? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
everything else is.
But
working out.
I liked it. But also I was like,
Yeah.
I'm sad.
I was like, oh, he
I'm
lost his leg. How sad. And I was like, oh shit, no, he's getting swallowed
Yeah,
whole.
he's coughing
Yeah.
up blood, dude.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
brutal.
Which yeah, like I'm curious to because they changed a lot from so this movie's based off of a book of the same name by Peter Benchley. I wonder if they like did more of that where they had more characters dying or what kind of happened there. But
I'm always curious about the process of an adaptation of like a novel. Like, how do you decide to throw like 2 hours worth of shit into the movie, and what do you strip out, and how do you make those decisions? Because maybe there is more of that,
Yeah.
or maybe there is like a bigger, a whole. Because I feel like there was a lot of kind of like subtle backstory to the main character. What's his name? I didn't even.
ooh, his
Brody.
Chief of police.
Chief
Brody, there you go. Yeah.
Brody.
Brody.
So there was a lot of backstory there where like he's from New York, and basically from what we can tell, New York is a shit show, and over here there hasn't been a murder in like 20 years, and it's like it's an achievable goal for him to be a chief of police here.
Yeah.
Where in New York it's like it's never gonna happen, So
Mhm.
there's like some depth there that we don't really get to really go deeper
Yeah.
on. We just get that little piece. So maybe there's more there. I don't know. Maybe there's like a past that we're kind of missing.
Yeah.
Well, you
But
got
always-
how many other Jaws movies with this guy as the main character?
They
They
did
weren't-
more.
They weren't
They-
Spielberg though, right?
They weren't Spielberg or
Yeah.
the I think
okay.
the screenwriter.
Wait, was the actor actually in them?
Yeah.
I actually don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
There's what, like, there's a bunch, right?
There's
Two-
4 movies total?
Three?
I
or
think
four?
he's in at least 2, at least.
Huh.
Damn, I
So-
wonder what happens.
He
Yeah.
probably dies if there's that many.
And that's the other interesting thing is that a lot of people from this movie are dead in like real life. He's not,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there is a
Yeah,
lot.
it's like so many I've never heard of any of these actors, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
There is that
this
one.
was their big break, but like, it's so
Uh,
old that they could just all be fucking gone,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
wild.
what's his name? There is one that I recognized out of all of the people in
Was
this.
it the mayor? He looked
It's
familiar.
Richard Dreyfuss. Hooper. It's Hooper.
Oh, that's Hooper. That's the marine biologist.
Mhm.
yeah,
that's-
he's
that's-
in. I don't know, probably Disney Channel shit or something. Honestly, I don't. His face is familiar.
Or is he the grandpa or some shit?
He's the grandpa.
sure.
That's
I'm
kind of
sure.
fucked
I
up to
mean,
think about. He's supposed to
20
be
years
like
later.
he's supposed to be like the young whippersnapper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
To
totally.
make
And-
this
and-
worse is okay. So they were like celebrating the 50th anniversary of that beach party, right, in Amity. It would be 95 if this movie came out this year. This movie's 45 years old, right?
Yeah, it's 45 years old.
That would be
45 years old.
95-year anniversary in the movie if it was like re-released.
Oh, in
I
the
don't know.
movie.
Yeah. Because
Right,
did you
right.
see when on the poster with a girl like laying on the beach or whatever, and it was like 50th anniversary?
Right, and then they
Oh, I
write
see,
the-
I see, I see.
Yeah.
they like graffiti the sharks.
Dude,
in
that
there.
was
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, actually, the interviewer that is in the movie, that's the author, Peter Bench.
Oh,
He's-
nice.
He has like a cameo
Oh.
in the movie.
Huh.
Yeah, of the book.
Okay.
And that
Um,
was another thing to go back into, like how this movie went 100 days over filming and $5 million over budget, was the fact that they had so much more time. They were writing so much of this on the fly, and like
Yeah.
a lot of it was being changed constantly. So it worked. Again, this movie's
When did the book come out? It came out like a year before the movie?
like a year, maybe two. I think 73, 74. They, you know what? Actually, the production company bought the rights to the book before it was published, because they found out
Really?
about it, and they were like this could be a good movie.
That's an
And-
interesting parallel, like compared
Yeah.
to The Godfather, like where the book wasn't even that great, right? It wasn't like a crazy seller, right?
I don't know if it was
Something like that?
Are
Wasn't
there
it being
any-
written alongside the movie or something?
Never read it in high school, so it probably wasn't big.
Yeah.
Are there any like books that are like that come, when you see a movie? I mean, I feel like personally that the movie gets bigger than the book almost always, right? Are there any
Yeah.
cases where that's not true?
The Great Gatsby. I mean,
I mean,
there are some.
Yeah.
let's
you
talk.
know.
I'm gonna reword that. Is there more than 10 cases where that's not
Okay.
true? Like Jurassic Park
Uh,
is a book, but have you read it?
no.
How many times
Well,
have you seen that
okay.
fucking movie?
Here's what I'll say is that we're also more movie nerds than we are book nerds.
True.
Yeah, I read
So
a
we
handful
don't-
of books ever.
We don't know a
Let's-
whole lot about,
Let me
that.
counter with this, okay?
All right.
The book came out a year before. You're gonna give it a year to determine whether it's a decent book.
That's
Like,
what I was wondering.
Well, even
like,
less
how-
according to him.
or
What-
even
like-
less.
Would this
Wasn't
be
even
a good?
published.
Would this be a
right?
good story? I think is like the premise, and
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
and because they
Right.
changed. I think in the book there was so much different. It was just like, this is just a broad thing of like, there's a killer ravenous great white shark that is ravishing a beachgoer town. That's the
Yeah.
premise of it.
Which is interesting in like the grand scheme of like the idea sells better than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
The writing could be lackluster, but that can be changed.
Right,
It's the
exactly.
idea that there's something there, and we can just
Yeah.
we'll
It's
make
like
it
the
up as we
jumping
go.
off point.
The production, the
It's like this, like just a reference to another movie we've done, The Shining, is like, that was a jumping off point. Like, he didn't want to obviously adapt the book word for word, right? Like, he's
Mhm,
like, this is a
sure.
cool idea. I'm doing something with it.
Yeah.
oh
And
yeah,
honest-
Kubrick and they hated each other. Like,
Yeah,
they-
exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's a good one to bring up. Like, which one is bigger? I actually don't know. I think the movie, but and I read the book after we watched the movie, and I don't know. Maybe this is controversial, but I think the movie is better in my opinion. There's things of the book that would have been cool to see in the movie, but I don't think that they were necessary.
And
Like,
and,
the
and
way
what
the
were
movie
we
was
talking about? The
portrayed.
Shining?
The
Right, The
Shining,
Shining.
yeah. The
I
Shining.
thought we agreed that the ending of The Shining in the book would have been way better
would have
than.
been better because he
But-
axes himself to death, and yeah.
But that,
Oh, that
was
was crazy.
wrong.
Forgot
Remember,
about
that.
that.
was wrong because then
Oh
learned-
right.
in the
It
Doctor
catches
Sleep,
on.
we learn the
it,
real
it-
endings.
It catches on fire. Damn, we're spoiling the
Reel it
Shining.
out, reel it in,
book.
reel it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how long the Jaws book is. Like, I wonder if it's actually
That's
good
another
or not.
question I have,
Yeah.
right? Like, how long are these books? Because The Shining was fucking long. I'm just gonna say it. It was almost
Yeah,
like
I
8
heard
pages.
it. I would never read that book. Just hearing
Well,
how
and
long
there,
it
there's
is.
a, there's
Fuck
a
that
thing.
shit.
There's a thing too about just. I mean, we're comparing completely different things. Like a book is just inherently different than a movie,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
Sure.
you can't. It's
We could
apples
do
and
a
oranges.
whole podcast on that, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So it's like, okay, how can you deliver a story well in a movie is completely a different task than delivering a story well in a book. Is broadly
And that's
what we're saying.
interesting.
Yeah, I just wonder what the differences are as well, I guess.
Yeah.
I was reading something about I don't know, it was like loosely related to maybe like the work that a movie takes to actually produce, or the premise was, why are there so many bad movies if they're like so expensive to make or something? And basically people who are like in the industry were just like, yeah, every time you're on a film set, you're just kind of hoping that it works out. Like you're managing millions of dollars of a project with hundreds of people, like shit's gonna go south, and you just kind of hope to like break even, and then at the end it's passable, right? So the fact that you get like good movies out of anything is kind of a miracle.
That's
And especially
that's
to think-
terrible.
to
Like,
think
just
that
why?
it's just that what you're creating is a piece of art, right?
Right.
Like it's not anything that anyone's going to use. Like it's not any like tangible thing. It's a
Sure.
work of art that you want people to just give their money to experience and enjoy. So
And it
like
could
it's
be
a
a disaster.
huge risk. Yeah,
Yeah.
huge. And yet we still have so many fucking movies out there
That are really good,
yeah, that are fucking great.
and a lot that are really bad, I guess, to be fair.
Right. Yeah.
Shocking.
And I think there's also there's something to be said about like a difference between whether a movie was well received and like had a really great box office and like whether it was a really good movie, because there's movies with phenomenal box offices that are shit movies, right?
Lion
Like
King
And
2019.
the opposite too.
and the opposite.
Like
Yeah.
like that's like the cult classics, right? That's what
Right,
they-
exactly. Weren't well received initially, but they build a following and then they become amazing.
And I think that that's going to be an interesting shift over the next few years. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but I'm not even going to try to think of the act or whatever that was passed, but basically, like back in the day when maybe it was the Spanish flu or maybe it was something else happened, they passed this thing that prohibited the big name players in movies to buy theaters because they didn't want there to be like a bias and shit. And that was just lifted like this month or something, like very
serious?
recently.
Fuck.
So right now, I believe, and maybe I'm talking out of my ass here, but I'm pretty sure this is what I read. Amazon, Netflix, etc. can go and buy theaters that have been shut down because of COVID and like do whatever
Play
they want.
whatever they want.
I thought
Holy
Netflix
shit.
owns some. That's kind of crazy.
I think you can always build your own before, but this is like like they could buy AMC straight up now or something
Oh Jesus
Wow.
and
Christ!
do what they
And have a
want. Like,
monopoly on what movies are
Right.
showed.
and that was just lifted. It was an act that was passed. It was just lifted, and I don't know. Things are about to get really weird. But a lot of people are like, I don't think they'll do it because look at how successful these straight to streaming service releases have
Right.
been.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's kind of crazy because we have the Netflix studios here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I wonder if they would test the market. We have a couple closed down dollar
Oh,
movies.
right.
Yeah, movies west.
Yeah.
Rest in
Hey,
peace.
that might be
true.
kind of interesting.
the other thing is that film sets are opening back up, like as of recent, right?
Mhm.
And basically what they're doing is they're building into the budget like crazy amounts of money, like $300,000, $400,000 to do testing. So basically if you work on a film set, you go through a COVID testing, whatever entry,
Mhm.
and every 3 days you have to do the same. And they have all these like new rules that you have to follow, but they're still doing it and I think the reason is that because these big streaming services are willing to pay this price right now because everybody's home and everybody's watching shit
Yeah,
and they just want to crank out content.
that's where
So if you're wanting to make shit, now might be the time. I don't know. You know?
Film
James,
Fumblers
I think-
movie, guys. Like,
I think James
Whoa.
said
Super
like last
risky.
episode where if he's like, if I had millions of dollars, I'd throw it into movies right now, like into these types of projects. But
yeah.
Yeah. And so, all of that to say, I don't know if the theater thing will happen. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I think time will tell. Maybe they'll buy them up now and wait until things go back to quote unquote normal.
Dude, but
And
could you imagine a Netflix theater? People
I don't know if it'd be good or not. Like I
No,
think
people
about,
would fucking go, dude. It's
Yeah.
it's
People
it's
would
it's
go,
the name.
for
It would
sure.
be. They should buy that fucking dollar theater, guys. Like this is
That'd be sick.
This
Honestly,
is
yeah.
literally like a
and
like
renovate it, yeah.
renovate it. Have the freaking Netflix and chill store on the side. Like,
Yeah.
dude, holy shit.
I would go just completely for novelty, at least.
Yeah,
sometimes,
and
right?
people
Yeah.
who are stopping in Albuquerque, they're gonna be like, "Yo, there's the Netflix theater. Let's go, like,
Let's go check it out.
check it out,
Yeah.
do this and that." Like,
Yeah.
it's
I don't
kinda-
disagree.
Yeah,
I think like the inherent like whatever is inside of me that is like part film buff is like that sounds like fucking a terrible idea, like tyranny, like all this shit. But at the same time, like Netflix also distributed Marriage Story, and if I were to see that in the theater, that would have been cool. So part of me is
like,
okay with
and if they don't do something, maybe all of movie theaters are just gone.
Maybe all
'cause
movie theaters
that's
are
how
gone.
fucked they are right now.
That's a good point. I don't know, but
Dang.
it's a weird time.
No more paying $72 for a fucking popcorn and a soda pop. Come on,
That's
dude.
another question. Does your Netflix subscription get you in? Do you need to
get
pay
a
more?
It gives you
discount,
a
bro?
discount. It gives you a discount for sure. It does.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
And then there's gonna
Down
have
for
like
that.
premium Netflix subscriptions where it's like the movie pass thing. There's
Yeah.
that's
Buy
gonna be a whole
tickets a week
Full
early
circle.
for the new
Full
Marvel
circle.
movie, whatever the fuck. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit back. We got a
That
little
was a
off
big
the
tangent. I'm
rails.
sorry.
We're fumbling
It's
it
okay,
again,
it's okay.
guys.
It's
We're
okay.
I'll
fumbling.
take credit for that one.
That's okay. Let's go back a little bit more to Jaws. So I feel like I want to talk about. For me, there was a big division on like the two separate halves, I guess you would say, of this movie. There was pre-shark hunt and post-shark hunt,
Mhm.
where like we really like post-shark hunt is when we really are introduced to Quint's character and to the boat and to them just being at sea. And the second half of this movie, I think I liked a lot more than the first half.
I totally agree.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I think that the first half I was like, okay, there's a shark and
Yeah.
maybe a little dragged and stuff. And
I was kind of like, how the fuck are they gonna fill 2 hours here? Like, I was like, really?
Right.
I was kind
Yeah, at
of
the beginning, I was like, it
I was
has to be
like,
almost over or
it's like,
some shit.
fuck.
right.
Like
Just-
full disclosure, I saw the credits roll like seconds before we went live. And when I was like
Yes.
1975, it's probably no more than an hour and a half. No, it was
Oh, no.
over 2 hours.
yeah.
I don't think it had to be for sure, but
It didn't. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
but
either.
I mean, I don't know if this is the way we're trying to go, but like, I feel like it could have been longer. The end was terrible.
My-
you didn't like the ending?
Do you think
They
end was
just
bad?
swam. Did they even make it to the beach? I don't fucking know. Like, what
absolutely
happens?
made it to the beach.
I
If
thought
there's
they
more
were gonna
movies,
go back
man.
and like.
There's a
No,
Jaws
they got-
2.
I'm
They
not gonna
made
watch
it.
it. I'm just saying, like,
Oh, yeah.
I figured we would see some kind of repercussion to them killing the shark.
Yeah, reunion
Anything.
with the family, like a little
Yeah,
bit of
literally
something.
anything.
I don't know, maybe
Hug your
uh,
wife, whatever, anything. And they
Yeah.
just the credits roll while they're swimming back to. I'm like, whoa, okay, that was a.
What
left
if they
turn, I
get
think.
mauled by another random shark?
I was gonna say they got eaten by another shark. But Jaws 2.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, guys, there's not one great white shark out there. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sharks are a fucking thing. But I mean, granted, they're not like the shark attacks are pretty rare. What's that fucking article from The Onion where it's just like only like 15 people die a year of shark attacks, but you will be one of them. Like, and it's just like, fuck, that's how it feels. Like, where
Yeah.
you're just like, I know it's so unlikely,
Yeah.
but dude, watching this movie, I was like, I'm afraid to go into the ocean a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Fuck the
You know,
ocean,
to
dude.
be in open waters.
Okay, so on my honeymoon, where you got that Cozumel shot glass, so I was on my honeymoon in Cozumel, and we
Oh,
did some
yeah.
snorkeling, and we had a little private boat that took us out into the middle of the ocean. And I was buzzing. It was an open bar, so I was kind of just like,
Oh yeah.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
not
There it
big. I'm not big
I've
for
been
the
there.
beach. I'm not big for the ocean. And I was kind of like, we're going in. We jumping in. So we jumped in. We saw fucking barracudas, and there was like 1,000 fucking jellyfish. Like, I was like, oh my god. And we were just swimming, and the boat was just following us, and and homie was just like diving down. He was like, check this shit out. This shit's crazy. And I was like, holy fuck.
Were you snorkeling or were you?
We were snorkeling. Yeah,
Yeah,
we were snorkeling and we were swimming, and then Jacqueline was like, a jellyfish stung me, but I think she just got a cramp, leg cramp. And so we were like, let's get the fuck out of here, because there was so many jellyfish.
Dude,
But
yeah, you just
this
saying
movie reminded me
being
of
on
that.
the
I was just
ocean. I'm
like,
like, that gave me anxiety instantly. I'm like, nah.
Really?
Well,
I
and
love
so I
it.
think I like the ocean too. Like I think this. Okay, so for example, like going on a cruise right after watching Titanic, right? It's like the same feeling where it was like being in the open ocean right after watching Jaws. Or even being in a swimming pool, you're just like, maybe. Like, it's like you're in the water, you can't feel the bottom. It's just scary.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
does it well. And I think like so much of that too is the music. We haven't touched too much on that.
Yeah.
John Williams is a fucking
Jinx.
god.
Oh, yeah.
goat.
Yeah,
That's good.
I mean, it's like, is there any more iconic suspense music? Maybe in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, you know, the shower murder scene, but like, it's just, you know, the music, you know
Yeah.
it when you hear it, and it's fucking
Yeah.
menacing. Still today.
I actually, that's one of the.
Oh, so good.
This is maybe cheesy, but when I have Sophia and one of the things that makes her laugh is if I do that, like, dun 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 dun, and I get really close to her face, and then I just start like just on the side of her face, and she loves that shit, but she doesn't know what that means yet, you know.
Yeah.
But it's iconic for sure. I think a lot of John Williams is iconic, but that piece is.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
Next level
and
iconic.
you hear it. This, you know, we're talking about it being culturally relevant. This is another film in the Library of Congress. Like, these things appear everywhere. There's so many parodies.
Anytime someone's sneaking up on someone, it's that fucking.
It's that music.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great. And I think I was reading that because of the lack of visibility around the shark itself, it led John Williams to create this more like interesting music around the entire movie, but specifically around those pieces where, you know, here it comes,
really,
right?
Yeah, you guys got to check out that Spotify playlist that I linked in the chat a couple weeks ago. It's actually John Williams pieces and then the actual where he got the inspiration from. So a lot of people think that John Williams is like a fucking crook because he rips off a lot of older works.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting to see like the juxtaposition between his interpretation of like a really old piece. But it's really cool. You guys need to check that out.
Is there a Jaws one or what?
I don't know if there was a Jaws one. There's a few. There's definitely a lot of Star Wars ones.
Yeah.
Superman. Can't remember, but yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, those parts where it was like underwater and stuff, like that was when the music was at its top. But like when it wasn't, it felt like too magical, like too weird.
Yeah,
right?
I felt
Dude,
the same way.
there was some parts where it was like, why is the music all fucking happy and nobody gives a shit that they're about to die?
Like an adventure.
Those were the parts that reminded me of Jurassic Park the most. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is that?
I got that. I got that too.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like, why is it so happy? They're in a fucking ocean with murderous, ravenous sharks. I felt the same way. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Yep.
Talking about the second half of the movie, sorry to cut you off there.
You good?
The interesting thing to me that I didn't remember, I guess going way back to the beginning of the episode, we were talking about how everybody hasn't seen this. I've seen this a few times now, but I didn't remember that there was only 3 people on the boat for the like second half of the movie. I thought there was like more, and that was interesting. Like, you're taking on this kind of like monolithic task of capturing, killing, whatever, tracking a great white with 3 people, a shitty boat. Like, 2 of them are probably drunk the whole time. One of them had a revolver. You know, there was like this whole cast of characters. But the music, right? It was like really interesting, and part of me was like, yeah, let's go, let's do this thing. And part of me was like, I know the outcome of this, and I don't know if this is the right music, but in the moment it feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to touch on more about, what is his name, Quint's character, and his past. So I didn't know this, but I had seen the story behind the USS Indianapolis sinking like years before I watched this movie. And when he talks about, he says he was a member on the USS Indianapolis. Do you guys know the story of that kind of thing?
No, but I guess, I don't know. I'll wait for you to finish that.
Yeah. So it's World War II. I believe it's 1945. The Japanese shoot 2 missile silos or torpedoes at the USS Indianapolis, and the ship sinks in less than 15 minutes. And it sinks so quickly that they couldn't let out distress calls to let the Allies know that the ship was sinking. So you had, I think it was like 900 men who like, I think the ship had like 1,700 men. You had like 900 men who were alive after the ship had sunk, and they were just floating in the open water for 5 days before rescue arrived. Only like approximately 300 men survived that.
Imagine being so raisined after.
Yeah.
Fucking geez.
Well, like the most menacing part of that is a lot of them died from starvation or from taking their own lives, from all of these, drinking salt water, but a lot of them died from being attacked by sharks. And I think it's like still kind of theorized as like the biggest like man shark attack in history,
Really?
like ever to have ever happened.
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to like look up.
Yeah,
that
and when
at
he
all.
said USS Indianapolis, I was like, that sounds familiar. And then when he started explaining the story, I was like, that's the story. And so yeah, he was one of in the movie, he's one of the 300 men who survived that kind of trauma, right? So like for me, watching Quint die by a shark, like I think it was just so much more powerful. And I was just like,
Ironic.
oh, like, a little bit of irony, right?
Yeah.
Where he's just like, he survived this thing that like so many didn't, and like,
Mhm.
but it was just so much more moving, and I was like, fuck. But it was almost like poetic, where you're just like,
Yeah,
maybe
no,
maybe that's how he wanted to go.
but like
right?
that would like
'Cause he
really
escaped death.
that really like built up his entire backstory, because this guy like survived so many sharks, and he was just like kind of obsessed with killing sharks. He killed so many different sharks. You see all
right.
the bones, you see all that stuff. So like he's
Yeah.
kind of like never got over that past, right? Like he's just
Yeah.
dancing with the sharks like for his whole life. Like,
Life, yeah.
it's like him and the marine biologist, like, they're just like enthralled, and they're like entangled by these creatures.
He's on a
I would-
vendetta.
I would
Yeah,
argue, and I love that you use the word obsessed, because this is another movie about obsession, where not only is the marine biologist obsessed with sharks, not only is what's his name? Jesus, I already forgot.
Brody,
Quint?
Quint.
Quint or Brody?
Obsessed with
Oh.
sharks, right? They're obsessed with sharks for very different reasons.
Yeah.
But now Brody too is obsessed with finding this shark, at least, and in some capacity is also obsessed. He's reading all these books. He's
Yeah,
staying
yeah.
late. He's like losing his mind over this.
Yeah.
And they're all on the same mission, but they got there in very different ways, and that was really cool. And
Yeah.
and, I think the root of a lot of movies, maybe this is just a film homer thing, but there tends to be a lot of theme of obsession in these movies, and that was one that I kind of picked out of here, outside of like the entirety of the thriller and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I would even say that Brody's obsession was being a good sheriff or a good like chief, right?
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
he's living in like we talked about earlier, he's living in a town that hasn't had a murder in years,
Mhm.
and it's like this is the issue, this is the problem that's in the forefront of my
Yeah.
town's problem, and he completely obsesses over it, and like how can he fix it, how can he be a part of it, and he overcomes his irrational fear of water to go out and be straight in it,
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the ending joke where he's like, can't imagine why I was ever afraid of the sea or whatever.
Yeah.
Afraid of the water.
Yeah, and Hooper's just like, I can think of a reason, whatever it says. Yeah. So, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the very ending scene of the shark completely being obliterated by, what is it? An oxygen tank, right? He shoots an oxygen tank, which I'm not sure. I'm not a physicist, but I don't think that that's how that happens. I don't know that an oxygen.
Yeah, I
tank
figured the shark punctured it before that, right?
Right.
He was just like,
Yeah,
Fighting it.
I'm toying around with
I
it.
think maybe the spark from the bullet entering in the oxygen's highly flammable. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like originally they were gonna have like the shark die slowly from like multiple rounds being fired into it, but that just like totally wouldn't have been fitting. Like we
Yeah.
needed
Yeah.
that big literal bang.
Yeah.
We needed it to end in this like giant thing, giant fucking way. Which also hilarious. Steven Spielberg was not on he was not on set the last day of filming for the shark explosion
Hmm.
because he said, "Oh, what is the quote?" He said that he feared that they would that after the movie was done that they would throw him into the water too, like because they were just so fed up with all of this bullshit that they had gone through with the
Yeah.
recording of Jaws, and that's actually been a bit of a ritual for him. I don't think that I think like in all of his other films, he doesn't go the last day of filming. He's not there.
Wow.
Huh.
I feel like that's a ballsy move.
It's kinda
Yeah,
weird.
right. That's kind of cool.
That's a nice. In some ways, that has to be cathartic for the crew,
Yeah.
right?
Oh God, yeah. Not having the boss around. Yeah.
Well, that and let's kill this damn shark. There's been so many
Oh, right.
problems with these fucking things. I'm
Oh.
excited. I'm sure they didn't blow it up. Well, actually, I know they didn't blow it up because it lives at the Universal Studios tour. You can
Right.
see it come out of the little pool.
We have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
Best
that was
ride
like
at Universal.
my first experience with Jaws was, God, I don't know how old I was. Like I was like 9 maybe when you're on that little bus ride or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and you see like they also have there's so many. There's the Mummy, there's Jurassic Park, there's so many different things that you go in, but like you just see the shark jump right out of the water, and again it's like it's animatronic and it's so obvious that it is, but 9-year-old me is still terrified. Like
Yeah.
something jump out of the water at you.
What's really cool is that I went on that bus tour like 4 years ago, and they update it. Like you still see the Jaws stuff because it's like iconic, right? But they also had like a Fast and the Furious.
No way.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
They
That was
have
cool, honestly.
It's like
They
the
have
Paul
the-
Walker just looks at you and then just
No,
drives
he
away.
his car was there. They have like a plane wreck scene that's kind of generic, but it's used in a lot of different things. They have like a neighborhood that's used in a ton of stuff, and then they
King
have
Kong, right?
they had like King Kong versus dinosaurs in some piece of this.
I thought they had King Kong, and then
all-
they have like that very generic banana smelling. Like you can smell like bananas everywhere.
Not They took
Am I
that
making
out.
that up?
They passed by Hitchcock's bungalow that he wrote a bunch of stuff in. And then they added what's the show that's based off of Psycho with the kid Charlie Chocolate Factory?
Bates Motel.
Yeah, they have the Bates Motel house, and like
Yeah.
somebody dressed as him, Norman Bates,
Nice.
walks towards the bus with a knife and like almost stabs a person.
Oh.
A lucky random person.
What?
I don't know,
Yeah,
was
that was
big?
when I went last. I'm sure they updated a lot, but it's really cool. But the Jaws pool, the lake, the scene where they have it,
Yeah,
it's all there. You can see it. It's really cool.
little town or whatever. Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah. So that pretty much wraps up what we had to say about the movie. Does anyone else have anything else to bring in? Some final thoughts? Turn, you got some notes there?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I was gonna go back to, but I don't know. So the only thing that not bugged me, but it's just like when those kids have the fake fin. in the
Oh,
water,
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Weird.
Why wouldn't the people shoot them? Wouldn't they have shot him? The kids,
Shoot on sight.
Dude, he wants dead kids too, man. That's all I'm saying.
right? I mean,
Wow.
why did they hesitate and wait for them to reveal themselves? I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
would
You
be
want
scared.
you want to see the fangs. You want to see that. Yeah, I don't know. Perfect.
Because if kids were gonna die in this movie, it was not gonna be by guns of another person.
No, I know. It was just like it was a weird thing.
By the
Dude,
way,
that
a
would have
kid
been
did die
heavy
in
as
this
fuck.
movie.
True.
Kid did die.
But I
Kid did die.
want the main character. I want the main character to be like, I'm going out for
Like-
that fucking shark. I'm going.
Daddy,
The stakes, man.
You know,
want more
raise
kids,
some
dude.
kid stakes, man. Let's do it.
It's true. There is a piece where it's like, yeah, this guy just died, but my kid's in shock. Look,
Yeah.
and you're just like,
Can't help him anymore.
Here's
Literally,
one
yeah.
last thing that I want to bring. I want to touch on before we end this. I'm curious to know how negatively this has affected like society's view on sharks, like as a whole, because like we now like we view sharks as like these terrifying,
Nah, man.
bloodthirsty monsters.
Shark Week, dude. What the fuck?
No,
People
no,
love
no, no, no.
sharks.
We
People
think
love
they're,
sharks.
We think they're
dude.
fascinating. They're fascinating, but we also think that they're just blood-hungry monsters that are going to kill
Yeah,
our
I
children.
think this like
Well,
fucked up shark's reputation's hard.
It's
You
bad
think so?
because they're like like
Yeah.
sharks are like being killed at like an astronomical rate, and they are. I don't know if they're on the endangered. Like, oh, okay. There's so many different species of sharks. I did not do any prior research to this, but I know that a lot of other countries, you know, like shark fin soup is really popular, and like they're killing a lot of fucking sharks. Like,
Yeah, and what sharks kill like a person a year or something
yeah,
ridiculously low, right?
I think I saw a
It's
stat
real.
that cows kill more people than sharks annually.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like they're
You know.
not that bad.
yeah.
Yeah,
mad
which I
cow
mean,
or-
cows are 2 tons, but
I mean, you have to just lay on someone, probably kill them.
right, exactly.
Cow took
Um,
the wrong way.
But
Oh,
you
jeez.
guys saw at the end of the movie, the credits rolled, and National Geographics was
They
a
popped
big
up in there.
was a big sponsor of the movie. Apparently,
Oh,
not,
really?
not a sponsor, but they had a thanks to them at the end.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wonder
I
if
mean,
those were the
part-
magazines that he was reading.
But I just want to say, you know, sharks are natural, pretty cool creatures. Don't kill them. I don't know if you were thinking about it, but
Yeah.
I thought
you know,
about
they're not going to hurt you.
They mentioned
Probably.
in the movie like this is the perfect machine. All it does is
The perfect killing
swim,
machine
kill and make more sharks. You
and
know,
make more sharks.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
how
don't
it's like millions of years old, and how it's just, you know,
Yeah.
better than you
It's like
in every way.
prehistoric.
Right.
I'm not saying that they deserve to be killed. I think it was fucked up, but yeah.
I think the only thing we need to worry about is like if there's a shark and then a tornado and then
Oh.
Sharknado.
Oh
No?
shit! Yeah.
Sharknado.
Is that our
Which-
next movie?
Well, after Hereditary, maybe.
Top 3 fears right there.
Oh God, Sharknado.
I am scared of the wind. So
Yeah, the wind, the ocean, and creatures that could eat you are
Yeah.
huge fears.
Thalassophobia
with
is
that.
a real thing, bro.
The what phobia?
Thalassophobia?
The
Like,
last.
like the ocean, basically.
It's the ocean.
Just
it's
seeing like nothing under you, like that's fucked up. I don't know.
see, I'm okay with that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
You're
Probably because you're a
psycho.
The
psycho.
wind, if the wind comes,
Jay's part fish, dude.
I shelter down.
Oh yeah, you were a lifeguard. Yeah, okay.
I don't know. He was like a pro
I'm on the
swimmer.
swim team.
Right.
When I was like a year old, I crawled. Literally, this is a true story. I crawled out of my mom's apartment and into the hot tub of the apartment complex, and just like tumbled in. And there were people in there, and they were just like, "Here's your child." So I've always been around the water. I love the water. I love the ocean, regardless of its killing machines that inhabit it.
It's
Mhm.
ominous
Perfect.
nature.
So Jay
Yeah.
has that story. My story is when I was younger, I almost drowned and I was struggling so bad that I shit myself in the pool.
Why have I not heard this?
True
story?
fucking story. I shit myself
Wow.
in the pool. My mother had to jump in and save me. And
no.
yeah,
Wow.
there was shit in the pool.
Were you trying to make yourself lighter? Probably.
I
to
think I was
be
just
more
like,
buoyant?
I'm dying, and then just shitting, and I don't fucking know. I don't
Oh
know.
man,
I hardly
I've almost
remember.
drowned a couple of times, but it was. I don't think I shit myself. But
Yeah. Well, you're not
Yeah,
trying
so
hard
I'll
enough,
swim,
dude.
right?
my fear.
You
What's
weren't
that?
scared enough.
You weren't scared.
Wasn't
enough,
scared.
dude.
I guess I wasn't as close as James. Maybe I didn't have anything in the chamber. Who knows?
All right,
You guys
guys.
all-
So
You guys
this,
can all swim? Yeah.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
Doggy
I-
paddle at most.
You can't swim, Taryn? Like really? Wow.
Huh.
Dude, we're
I
gonna
don't
take
believe
you out.
that.
We're gonna swim.
Let's go.
Dude,
to-
You can
you're in the pool. I don't got glasses on. I can't see. I don't know what's going on. Out there.
I can't see, so you can't. So you can't.
Terrified the whole time.
Yeah. You know what's funny? That reminds me of a Dimitri Martin bit where he says, like, swimming is an interesting sport because sometimes you do it for fun and sometimes you do it to not die. And it's like very true.
Yeah.
All right, but I think that about wraps up our review. We're gonna jump right into our ratings and can you fumble while watching this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to go first?
I'll do it.
Taryn wants to go first. Taryn,
Take
can you fumble? What do you rate this?
I'm gonna say if the actors are fumbling the whole damn thing, then you can fumble the whole fucking movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
Full
Oh,
cup
yeah.
of wine. Let's go.
Oh yeah, brother. Don't let
No.
that shit breathe. Drink that straight.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like what you mentioned at the beginning, Adrian, when you were saying like this movie's just kind of old and like you know everything that happens. Like it's such a cliche. A lot of shit that happens is just so common in other things that it's like hard to take this one particularly seriously.
Hmm.
And I totally agree with that because like especially the first half I was like, oh, okay, like this is old as hell. But then the second half with the boat, like that was where it was really good for me.
Yeah.
I loved the relationship between Hooper and Quint or whatever. Like
Mm.
that was really funny to see.
Yeah.
And then yeah, John Williams not seeing the shark, even if it wasn't intentional, like I just loved all that shit. The ending, yeah, like I said, the ending was really dumb to me. Like it was so abrupt. I just didn't like that part of it at all. So I'm gonna rate it at a 7.8.
All right. 7.8, and Taryn thinks you could fumble on this one. So, who wants to take over next?
I can go
All right, we'll go.
if you
James.
want me to. Yeah, so yeah, first part of the movie is a little slow. Kind of don't really know where you're going there, but this is one of the movies where I'm just blessed to not know anything about it somehow. I know that I need a bigger boat. That was pretty much it. But I remember, like I said in the beginning, I thought that the shark never shows up, and so I was honestly pleasantly surprised throughout this whole movie, or throughout most of the movie. You know, yeah, I kind of wanted a little more blood on some main characters. You know, I wanted, I just
I want to see
wanted
those
that.
kids fucking die.
It didn't even have to be the kids. Maybe the guy's wife. I don't know. It had to be, like, I just want. I don't know. Maybe I just like the main character have like a bone to pick. You know, he just wants to pick a bone.
Sure.
And so that was kind of just like okay for me. But I definitely agree with Taryn, Quint, and Hooper's. Just the dialogue I thought was incredible. Honestly, like it really just felt like just men just always trying to fucking one up each other, and then once he brings out that Indianapolis story, he's just like, holy fuck, you're not topping that. Like that's just crazy. And I was just wondering, how are they gonna fill 2 hours? How are they gonna do it? And then they just managed to do it. That last hour goes by fucking quick. That first hour you're kind of like but that last hour, just the banter, the sea shanties, like all that kind of shit, I just like it. Like it was really cool. The gore is really practical. Like it, man. Really like it. John Williams, the GOAT.
Can you fumble? By the way, did you answer
Oh,
that?
can you fumble? Definitely. I don't think that there's too much going on that you need to like really pay attention to. This is a good one. And this is like what horror movies should be, in my opinion. You get, like, it's not like this crazy, it's not dark or anything. A lot of the shots are very beautiful and in broad daylight, Most of the fear comes from not seeing. So I don't know. This movie really did it for me. I liked it. With that being said, it is an 8.3.
8.3 coming out from James. Yeah, that's a respectable score. All right, I guess we'll go clockwise with this. I'll take it over next. Yeah, I mean, just mirroring what we've already talked about John Williams. Is there a better composer? I don't know. Alive today, especially, probably not. The music in this is so fucking iconic. It does so much. And I think that this movie really, it just like shows what a perfect storm can really do for a movie, because so many things went wrong. I mean, with going more than double the budget of this movie, over 100 days over where, like the deadline was. I mean, the writing wasn't all the way polished, and all of that had to be done, kind of on the fly. all of these things like were so, I'm sure like while it was being filmed were so stressful, but it needed it. And I honestly don't know if we'd be talking about this movie today if all of these terrible things didn't happen to it, if all of these terrible problems didn't happen. And who's to say that Spielberg wouldn't have been launched into this phenomenal career that he's had if he didn't have how much of a blockbuster that this movie was. I mean, it has so much in the suspense and like just the intention on, you know, having certain things in scene and not wanting certain colors in scene because you want the red to pop out. Like just so much intention, so much, you know, that was just so beautiful. And what I think takes away from it for me, which I hate, is like what Taryn was saying, how I mentioned that I feel like I know the story. And if I would have seen this, you know, before knowing everything about the movie, it would have been shocking. Like it would have just been completely, you know, revolutionary to film. And I think that it for sure was at the time. But you know, watching it today, I think that it did age well. I think that the acting was good. The music of it, obviously, everything was still really good, and it was still enjoyable. I still enjoyed watching the movie. I was still scared at times. So with all of that being said, this movie for me. Oh, can you fumble? I think you should fumble with this. I don't think it's a complicated story, and I think it would enhance some of the fear and jump scenes. Like just being a little bit with, you know, your inhibitions at the door, just
I
kind
got
of.
scared every fucking time. I was just
Yeah,
like,
right.
what the
I think
fuck?
if you were drunk though, you'd be like, oh, shit," like it would
Yeah.
be, you know. So I 100% you could fumble on this. So my rating for this movie is a nice solid 8.5
Nice.
Oh,
out of 10.
Like it.
So Jay,
cool.
take it away.
Yeah, I mean, can you fumble? Yeah, totally. Not a lot of like story that could go over your head. Is pretty cut and dry, and it probably adds to the excitement, like everybody said.
Mhm.
I think, you know, John Williams, of course, definitely gotta put that out there. He's always awesome in everything he does. I think the cinematography was really cool. There was a lot of interesting shots. There was a lot of really good like framed things. Like you would see things through the shark mouth bones, or you would see things like framed in between these different like pieces of the ship and stuff that were just really cool. The effects were cool. They were practical. The budget was a lot lower than I thought it was going to be, which is like kind of crazy for the amount of impact that this movie has. Which I think really is what drives it home for me, is like the concept is not necessarily super complicated, but the execution and the, you know, what it's done for the culture of film and culture in general is like so far and beyond its reach that it's just like an all around like an inspiring movie. I think it's really good. I mean, I think it's like appropriately scary. It's all of these things, and even in 2020 it holds up as like a, you know, pretty intense like thriller of a movie, even though there's like weird, you know, you got to forgive the time and some of the animatronics and stuff like that, but all, you know, all things said and done, it's solid. It's like a solid movie. It's iconic for a reason, right? And so from me, I give it just an 8.0. Solid 8.0.
Nice. Solid 8.0. So that brings us to a collective 8.15 out of 10. We would love to know what you guys thought of this movie. Be sure message us on any of our socials: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Email us filmfumblers@gmail.com. All of those you can find at filmfumblers.com. Be sure you are following our Twitch channel. You can watch all of our episodes live. We record them typically on Saturdays, but you know, again, follow our socials. You'll find out when we're going to go live on those.
Mhm.
But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in today, guys. If you're watching us live, be sure to stay tuned and enjoy our after show. Next episode, we will be reviewing Hereditary, an Ari Aster A24 film. Super excited about that one. So yeah, any other closing thoughts? I think we're good, guys.
We are good.
Good. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Peace.
Bye.
Cheers.